Hello and welcome to episode 51 of Game Patrol, your weekly podcast. I am your host, Landon Plumley, and I'm back. I'm here. I feel like I say this like every other episode at this point, so apologies for that. Also, apologies for my voice. I know it's not necessarily like tip-top shape right now. That's because I had COVID, for those that don't know. So I'm currently right at the tail end of recovering from that. I'm currently on day 9 of quarantine. So almost done. I have been going insane. But this past week, basically, like Monday onwards, I've really taken a dive into my content creation work, and so that has helped ease the sort of isolation blues, I guess you would say. I've been working really hard on making content and being able to use this time to help get ready for end of the year stuff, because there's a ton of stuff. First off, we've got the anniversary of the Xbox Series S and X and PS5, and so we're going to be talking about that a bunch today. But I've been trying to look back on games that I've missed, maybe some things that I just didn't spend as much time with as I would have liked. And so like for instance, I've been playing Demon's Souls again because I never beat it, and so I started over. God, that's a hard game. I've never beaten a Soulsborne. I have to have it. Like, I can't say I'm a real gamer if I've never beaten a Soulsborne. Like, that is the true... If you beat a Soulsborne, there's no doubt that you are a gamer, And I've never done that. And so I've made a freaking... Like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna freaking beat Demon's Souls. And so I've been playing it every day. For the past few days, I'm trying to keep that a consistent thing, is that I play Demon's Souls every day until I beat it. Every single day, except for Saturday. I won't be here Saturday, but every day that is possible for me to play, I will play this freaking game. It's gonna be awesome. But anyway, so I've been trying to do stuff with that, just really look more at the catalog of the PS5, and as soon as I can get my hands on a Series X, start looking back at their catalog as well. And I've been playing plenty of its games, though, including Horizon 5. We'll get into Forza here in a little bit. But, also Game of the Year discussions, Game of the Year's coming up. We're almost halfway through November. That is nuts. It's November 11th, guys. Also, happy anniversary to Skyrim. I played it on PS5. I bought it for a third time, guys. I don't know what's wrong with me, but it looks good on PS5, so what can I say? I mean, I feel justified in my purchase, and I thought that Creation Club stuff looked good. I'm gonna look into it here. I started playing on survival mode. We'll see what happens. I only played for like 30 minutes maybe, but yeah. Sorry, I'm going off on a lot of tangents. I haven't been around for a while, so but needless to say, my voice is not back 100%, so apologies that my voice isn't the sexy, smooth, melodic sweetness that you're used to. And I'm sure it's going to get worse throughout this podcast. I can already hear it declining just in the 4 minutes that we've been here. But bear with me, because there's going to be plenty of cool stuff to talk about, and I hope you enjoy. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Happy birthday, Xbox and PlayStation, specifically the Series X and S and the PS5. Tomorrow is PS5's birthday, and yesterday was the Xbox's. So, it's a year with both. I'm going to talk about both consoles, how they fared, and of course, it wouldn't be a proper birthday celebration without a good old console war discussion on who won year one. And the answer may shock you. So let's get into the slightly older brother. We've got the Xbox Series S and X. So first off, looking at the hardware, everything that entails, I said for years, I mean, I've never shied away from the fact that I'm an Xbox fan. That is what I was. Although after this year, I've switched over to PlayStation. I honestly think it's gonna be a thing where every generation I'm just gonna flip flop on where I like to go for my multiplats. I feel like, last generation I was very firmly Xbox One versus PS4. If there were any multi-platform games, unless there was some sort of outlier, I would always get them on Xbox. Now for this generation, I've done the exact opposite. Any multi-platforms, it's always on PlayStation, even when it's on Game Pass. Like, I bought Back for Blood on PlayStation, even though it was on Game Pass, and I had Game Pass. Like, I bought it because I wanted the extra 4 days that the deluxe edition gave me, and then I played it for an hour. It was not a good idea, but whatever. I like throwing away money, but firmly on the PlayStation 5 train in terms of this generation. However, that doesn't mean that I don't still love Xbox. And I think that the Series X is a wonderful, fantastic, powerful machine. I wasn't a big fan of how they came out the gate. The only big title they had was Gears Tactics, and it wasn't much of a big title. It just, they came out of the gate floundering, right? But they are much stronger now, and I'm really excited for where Xbox is going forward. And that's not to say that there's still nothing, because there is stuff. I mean, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about this stuff. And so, but, it is the world's most powerful console, like hardware-wise, like I said. And getting into, even, the more of the software end of things in terms of their OS and everything like that, Xbox came out with a machine that is absolutely phenomenal. There's very little you can really criticize about it in terms of the hardware that's there and the UI and that sort of stuff. They spent basically the entirety of the Xbox One generation perfecting this. They completely fell on their faces. I said that they did this launch, but this is nothing compared to back in 2013. I mean, they really just completely obliterated themselves with the Xbox One. And they climbed back up that hill. It took them 7 years, but they climbed back up that hill, right? And so now we are seeing the fruits of that labor. Finally, with the Series X. I firmly believe that, and I think it's going to be a phenomenal generation. It's unfortunate that it didn't get off to the successful start that it frankly deserved, but that doesn't mean it won't be successful. In terms of sales figures, I mean, the PS5 does have a leg on the Series X and S, but it's not by a wide margin. I believe there's a 4 million unit deficit. I believe the PS5, and this is all estimation. This is not 100%, and scalpers are playing a big role in that. But it's estimated that the PS5 has shipped around 12 million units, and the Xbox has shipped around 8 million units. So, as of the last time I checked. So, it's not a super wide margin. And both consoles are the fastest selling in their history. So, both are doing extremely well. And so, without getting into that console war stuff, because it's not what I want to focus on right now, the Xbox Series S and X are doing very, very well. I just wish I could get my hands on one personally. My hope is Black Friday. I feel like that's a really bad place to throw my hand in the ring, because there's going to be so many other people doing that. But I managed to snag my PS5 on Black Friday, so that's why I'm hoping I'll have a shot. But getting into the games, there's actually a lot of games to talk about, because while they may not have had a lot of new games in the start of their life, they optimized a ton of games from their back catalog. And that was the thing, because the Xbox One was a console that was always fighting an uphill battle. And because of that, a lot of people didn't have an Xbox One. or if they did, they didn't use it very much. And even though the Xbox One was definitely not the best console, at least at the start, it had a lot of great games. Maybe not as much as the PS4 had, but there were still some really good darlings, especially towards the end of the cycle. And so I'm going to take a drink because I'm really trying to preserve my voice here, but then we're going to get into them. So first off, Forza Horizon 4 was optimized for Series S and X at launch. An already beautiful game, a now 3-year-old game, but they updated it 4K 60 on Series X, and it looks and plays absolutely beautifully. And so it's one of the best games, one of the best racing games ever made. And so, even though it has now been surpassed by Forza Horizon 5, which we'll get into in a little bit, it's still fantastic, and it's a great way to show off your new console. Especially, before Forza Horizon 5 came out. It was great. It was a great way to show off the power of the Series X, even though it was a 2018 game. Just the way that they optimized it and just how good of a game it was back in 2018, it was pretty easy to recommend. And so props to them for that. Still, one of the best games to play on Series X right now, Gears 5, got really, really good enhancements. Again, already a spectacular looking game, and then made even better on Series X. And so, Gears 5. I actually have been meaning to, I've been playing through the Halo games to get ready for Halo Infinite, but I actually have never played Gears 3 through 5, and I've only played part of 2. I've only ever beaten the first Gears, and so I need to get on it. But yeah, honestly, I kind of want to play through Gears like 2 through 4 and maybe Judgment. I don't know. We'll see. Before I get my Series X, and then play Gears 5 on my Series. Like, I don't want to play Gears 5 on my Xbox. I want to play my Gears 5 on my Series X. But yeah, anyway, Gears 5 looks phenomenal on Series X. Still one of the best games to play on the system, period, even though it is an older game. But it looks great on the new system. Then we got Gears Tactics, which is a very underrated game. Don't get me wrong. But it's not perfect. But if you like tactics games, it is really, really good. And another good showcase for the Series X. Just is good. It's good. But yeah, they came out with that. That was good. But then they also released a patch for Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which actually allowed it to run at 120 FPS, which I believe it was still running at 4K, because it's not a super demanding game, but a very beautiful game. Now imagine 4K, 120 FPS. Like, that's nuts. My goal is, I want to get this Xbox, right? And then I want to upgrade to a new TV, because my TV is currently capped at 4K 60. So I would like to upgrade to 120 hertz TV. I'm really eyeballing that LG C1. It's just, it's magnificent. I'm mad because my sister and her husband got one, and there was no communication between us. They just got a new TV one day, and I was like, "Oh, which one is it?" And they were like, "The LG C1," and I was like, "Oh man." Because it's bigger than the one I want too. It's like, I think they got the 75-inch, and I was planning on getting the 55 because I don't have a very big space for it anyway. And so I don't, as much as I would love a big TV, I just don't really have the necessity or the space for it. And so I'm like, man, there's bigger. They got it before me. But yeah. So now I'm like, should I just wait for a better one so I can have a better one? I don't know. But it's a fantastic TV, and I really want it. But as of right now, I haven't been able to utilize 120 FPS games. There's not really a ton of them out there for either console. Xbox does have a bunch more, which they really utilized in their FPS boost for their backwards compatibility program. So Xbox is definitely has a lot more, but both consoles, neither of them have a ton of games that really make use of it anyway. I hope that's something we start to see more as we get into the next year. But that is something I want to do, is play more 120 hertz games. We'll just play them in general at 120 hertz. especially because I have a 144 hertz like laptop, so I've experienced that a little bit, and it's awesome. And I would love to do that on my big TV instead of on my like 17-inch monitor. But anyway, next up, Sea of Thieves got a 4K 60 FPS upgrade on Series X. Looks beautiful. It's a wonderful game. It's one that I've really meant to get into. And all of these games are games that I'm going to check out when I get my Series X eventually. And so, because they all run really, really well on the console, because even though I don't have the console, I obviously do a lot of research. We're talking about it here on the podcast. I talk about it a lot on my content creation sites, like YouTube and Twitch and all of that. And so all this stuff I spend a lot of time researching and making sure that I am aware of, even though I can't currently afford or get my hands on the newest consoles. And so I have my PS5, but Xbox is have to put a little more work because I can't necessarily do it myself. But yeah, Sea of Thieves got its own patch. Halo, the Master Chief Collection, got a patch a week after the Xbox launched, and so it already looks beautiful. Like, I've been playing through it with my buddy Ben to get ready for Halo Infinite, and we were playing Halo 3, and I was like, man, this game looks like really, really good. And it's like, this is just on my One X, and I'm just like, man, I can't, because he has a Series X, and I was like, man, it probably looks awesome for him. Probably looks even better. Like, that's freaking awesome. We're on ODST now, for those wondering, and then we're going to play Reach next, because I insisted we play chronologically in terms of release, not in terms of, because they make references, man. I'm sure they make references in Reach, because I haven't played Reach. So we're playing through in the order they released, because I don't want any spoilers, any sort of reference or nothing. I want to be able to understand it all. So we're on ODST, about halfway through that. We're actually playing earlier, like yesterday, and so yeah, we're playing through that, trying to make it for Infinite. I feel like we'll do it. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We don't have we're halfway through we're about halfway through the franchise at this point, because we've done 1, 2, and 3, and we're halfway through ODST, and then we have Reach 4 and 5. Yeah, we're literally like halfway through, and so we can do it. We can do it. We did start like almost a year and a half ago, but we're very committed now because there's like no time left. And so anyway, yeah, Master Chief Collection. That's always good to hear. State of Decay 2 also got one, I believe, in December. Which, that's a game I never checked out, but I've been meaning to, and it's another one that, again, since it has a Series X release, I kind of want to be able to check out, especially before the third installment comes out, because I loved the first one. I think it's because people were kind of lukewarm on the second one that I never checked it out, but I really, really loved the first State of Decay, and so I was excited for the second, but again, I think I was just really busy around the time it originally came out, and it was just kind of a lukewarm response, so I just didn't check it out. But I'm a sucker for zombie games, especially ones with a lot of player choice, which, State of Decay has that in leaps and bounds. So yeah, it's something I really want to get into, but that also got a Series X upgrade, right? And then finally, those were all like the, again, launch window type of things, and then it was very quiet, right? Like I said, they were supported a lot by third party, but which they had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 got next gen versions, and that is fantastic. Also, another game with 120 FPS support, but yeah, just fantastic game. And so bringing them to next gen, that was a huge boost. One of the best games on the system so far. But then we got Psychonauts 2, and that game is absolutely phenomenal. And so that was great. Even though it was multi-platform, they didn't actually have a PS5 version of the game. They only had PlayStation 4. And so it plays best on Xbox Series X, and it's a really good game. And then we also got next-gen versions of Hades, which is one of my favorite games of all time. And so it is going to be one of the first games that I get on my Series X. As literally, like, there's currently I'm trying to remember the 3 games I had picked out that I wanted to buy when I knew for a fact, like, I had my Series X ordered and on the way. It was Hades, Tales of Arise, and I don't remember the other one, but yeah. So it's one of the games I am planning on playing day one that I get my Series X, because I am obsessed with that game. And if this is just another plug, if you haven't played it, you absolutely need to. I don't care if you've never played a roguelike before or you think you don't like roguelikes, because you will like this one because it's so freaking good. Play Hades, for the love of God, please. And so that also came out, and then just a few days ago, we got my darling, my Forza Horizon 5, which I've played for about 5.5 hours at this point, and it is just absolutely phenomenal. I love it to death. I'm going to be completing it, and it is a serious Game of the Year contender. And so, with that, and then Halo Infinite in the horizon, like, it's just a fantastic fall for Xbox. And we also had Psychonauts 2, so really, the end of their first year, they really turned things around. They also had some third-party support with games like The Ascent, The Artful Escape, different things like that, delivering some really cool Xbox exclusives that aren't first-party. And so, like, basically from the summer, they also had Microsoft Flight Simulator. I accidentally missed that one, but that is another fantastic game that is also Xbox Series X exclusive. It's the first exclusive game after... It's between that and the Medium are the only Series X exclusive games out there right now that I'm aware of. Although they will get one soon, kind of, with a catch. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so very, very good games. So really, after a kind of like launch, but again, optimizing a lot of past games and bringing that to the forefront. And so, you know, having that backwards compatibility being a big factor and just letting that be a really, really good way of getting into the generation and already having a lot of games out of the gate, especially with the inclusion of Game Pass in that equation. And so, you know, having all that, but, you know, a little lackluster in terms of new games, but then this summer starting and just going into the fall, just a really, really strong finish for their first year. Like, really, really strong. Definitely better than PlayStation's been doing. It's kind of like, you know, an ebb and flow. Like, PlayStation on the opposite end of the spectrum, which we'll get into in a sec here, had a really strong start and now has kind of hit a lull that it's like they just haven't really released anything in a while. But overall, I think that the Series S and X had a great first year, right? It wasn't particularly amazing, didn't completely knock it out of the ballpark, but they had some really freaking amazing moments, like Forza Horizon 5 being a potential Game of the Year contender, an Xbox exclusive, just absolutely nuts. And then releases of awesome games like Hades and Microsoft Flight Simulator on Series X as well. Just really, really cool stuff. I'm going to take another drink here real quick. Love water. But yeah, really, really great first year for Xbox. I don't think there's a ton to complain about, you know? Also, of course, COVID and the semiconductor shortage are a huge part of what could have made this better, right? You know, a lot of the big games got delayed because of COVID. You know, it's very, very hard to develop big AAA games right now because everybody's working from home, and so getting used to that remote environment is making things very challenging. And so that is like definitely made things harder. And also it's made it harder for, you know, the consoles to get out there, because even though these are the fastest selling consoles in the history of video games, it's not like, you know, there's a lot more people playing video games. The market is a lot bigger than it was even just 7 years ago, or I guess 8 years ago now, when the PS4 and Xbox One launched. You know, like, it's a very different ecosystem out there. There's a lot more people in the world, and there's a hell of a lot more people playing video games. And so there's more and more people wanting these consoles, and, you know, semiconductor shortages are happening. There's a lot of stupid scalpers that piss me off, taking up all the stock. But it's really, really awesome. And I am looking forward to the next year of Xbox. I think it's all going to be really, really freaking dope. But moving forward into the PlayStation 5, like I said, I've been using this thing pretty much every day. It is my media device, so if I'm not playing games, I'm using it for YouTube or Netflix or whatever. I yeah, I use my PlayStation 5 every single day. I absolutely love it. It's not a perfect system. For instance, one of the things that pisses me off the most is that I have an update for Dirt 5, which is not even installed on my console anymore, that every single day it will come up and say error installing. Like there is an error. And it's not even I can cancel it and delete it. It goes away and then it comes back the next day. There's an error installing this update. Ma'am, I don't even have the game installed anymore. This update does not need to exist. But every single day, I get my Dirt 5 update failure notification, and I just want to cry. It's like stupid. I've tried to move past it for the most part. I have, but just every once in a while, it happens again, and I just something just breaks, and I'm just like, ugh, so stupid. I wish there was a fix for it, but yeah, that very much irks me. I also wish that it wasn't so freaking aggressive about the power going out. This has been a problem since the PS4. I was hoping that they would have gotten rid of it for the PS5, but they didn't. So now every time my power goes out and it shuts off in rest mode, it yells at me for not being turned off correctly, which is something I can't control because it's the freaking power. I am not the god of power. I'm sorry. So please, for the love of God, PlayStation, if you're listening, get rid of that stupid, annoying, frankly, bullying message. You know, you can say it, just be polite about it, because that's not polite. That's accusatory and a little derogatory, and I won't stand for it. I hate it. It's easily the worst thing about the PS5. It just makes me mad. And so, yeah, that too. But other than that, I don't really have a complaint. I have a complaint about my TV stand. It's literally like this short so that I can't stand it vertically, so I have to have it sideways. I've gotten used to it, but I would much rather have it stood up, but I can't do it because my TV stand is just too... And I have a big TV stand too. Like I would show you guys, but my room's a disaster right now. But like it's a very spacious TV stand, and it won't fit. And I don't have room to put it on top because it's not a very long... Like it's not a very big TV stand in terms of like table area, but it's got a lot of open space for what you want to put in it. But the top doesn't have a lot of space. It's basically just enough for my TV. And I'm a little worried that when I do upgrade to my C1 or whatever it is that I do, that it's going to be too big for it. And then I'm going to need to get a new TV stand. I don't know. But anyway, I've been going off on a lot of tangents, but PS5. It's really, really great. Again, looking at the hardware, I like it a lot. I wish for the love of God they would release a proprietary SSD, because this SSD situation is stupid and it pisses me off, and I never know what to get, and I've avoided it since then, but I really want to expand my storage because this 800 gigabytes is not doing it for me. I'm constantly uninstalling stuff, like constantly, like literally almost every single day. At this point, we're in the fall season, so you know there's a lot of games coming out. So I'm doing a lot of what Far Cry came out a month ago, and I already uninstalled it because I didn't have room, so I had to get rid of it because it was the oldest game in my hard drive at that point. A month, like I have filled up my hard drive in a month of like new games. It's been nuts. So that would also be a thing I would like to see change. I would like more accessible options with the SSD. More accessible options with the SSD, fix my stupid update thing, and being less of a dick about power outages. Those are my top 3 PS5 solutions that I would love to see. But yeah, and I know I didn't give stuff to Xbox, but like I said, I don't have the console, so it's kind of hard for me to get specifics about that. But year 2, I will have stuff for both. I promise. And so, getting into the games, we've got, like I said, they came out of the gate swinging. Demon's Souls, like I already said, it's a phenomenal game. I can't beat it for the life of me, but I will. I'm going to do it. So, but it is a fantastic game. Like, when I started playing it again, I took a look at it, and I was like, man, like, this is one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. Like, Forza Horizon 5 is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but honestly, they're pretty neck and neck. Like, the amount of detail that Blue Point put into Demon Souls is just nuts, and I don't think it gets enough credit. I feel like Demon Souls kind of was swept under the rug. I think it's because it is a bit more of a niche audience, kind of in the same way that Forza Horizon is, but just, like, completely different ends of the spectrum, obviously. But man, Demon Souls is a good game. It's mind-numbingly hard, but it's just so good. It's so good. I'm gonna take another drink here real quick. But again, it is a hard game, and so if it wasn't for you, you had a ton of other options to choose from, like Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Criminally underrated game. It was one of my favorite games to play at launch. If I got buddies, we got together, we all played Sackboy. We had so much fun just messing around with each other. You can play it with kids, you can play it with your friends. There's fun in it for everybody. It's just a really, really fun, basically Mario game on PlayStation, and it's just really, really good. And anybody who has a PS5 should get Sackboy, and I wish people knew it more. So, or a PS4, because it's also on PS4. If you have PlayStation, you should get Sackboy. That's the end of the but it's really, 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 really fun co-op game. But that was also another banger. Miles Morales, one of my favorite games on the system, may be my favorite game on the system, honestly. Like, as a sort of like just a superhero fan. Like, I love superheroes. I platinumed the game. There's also Spider-Man Remastered, which I also platinumed. I'd beaten the game originally on PS4 maybe twice. I hadn't platinumed the game, but I 100%ed it. But I didn't do the challenges back then, because I was a wimp back then. But I actually went and platinumed the game this time around for the remaster. But both phenomenal games. Although, I'm not going to lie, I prefer Miles Morales. I think they're both amazing. Heh, pun intended. But, well, unintended, I guess it was. But Miles Morales is such, for one, it is, like, as much as I love, like, big, beefy games, some of the side stuff in Spider-Man was just, like, not, like, quite as essential as everything else, and there were definitely, like, lulls in terms of, like, certain story moments, but because Miles Morales was a smaller experience, it was much more contained and compact in very good ways. The story was tight, but yet filled with a lot of depth, and everything that was in that game felt like it had a place there, and it was supposed to be there, and had meaning, and had depth to it. Like, just such a beautiful, wonderful game. And, again, just looked and played beautifully on PS5. Just a really, really phenomenal experience. And so, just another fantastic launch game. And then there's Astro's Playroom, a literal freaking free demo that was one of my favorite experiences. I played it all the time. Anybody who comes to my house and plays my PS5, I make them play Astro's Playroom first, because it is phenomenal. It introduces you to the power of the PlayStation, and it's just something that everybody should have. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. I love it with all my heart. And so fantastic launch games. Just fantastic launch games for PlayStation. Just really, really knocked it out of the ballpark, and I was super happy. After that, it starts to, I don't know. But next up, they had Destruction All-Stars in February, which, it was okay. I played a bunch of it when it first came out. Haven't touched it since. Have meant to. Haven't had the time. I still would like to. But, it was okay. Then we also had the Neo Collection in February, which is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't checked out the Neo games, you really should. Also had 120 FPS support, so that was really, really cool. But yeah, those are very good games. I think they had 120. Yeah, pretty sure they did. I was second guessing myself there for a second, but sorry. Yeah, the Neo Collection, really, 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 really good games. And it also kind of worked out well, because I'm sure a lot of the Soulsborne fans were wrapped up with Demon Souls by that time and were looking for something else. So being able to play the Neo Collection was really, really great, and just very good looking games already, and looking even better on PS5. That was a really nice get for PlayStation. Also had MLB The Show 21, which famously also came to Xbox. But one of those, I bought the game. I literally bought a copy and then never even put the disc in. Like, I sold it later, and I never even, like, I opened it up. I remember the packaging was not on there, but I didn't even put the disc in my console. So yeah, but you know, I'm not much of a baseball guy. I mostly did it because I was like, okay, I should play this game to like say I did, and then I never ended up doing it. I never ended up playing, but you know, another good game from PlayStation. And then we got Returnal, a game that I need to go back and finish, and I actually really, really want to. But yeah, Returnal is really freaking good, especially after I fell in love with Hades. It was nice to have another like high profile roguelike. And so my biggest issue with it is, yeah, the runs get too long. That's, I think, everybody's issue with it. But now they finally added suspend cycles, so I've been meaning to jump back into it. I really, 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 really need to. But yeah, such a freaking good game. It gets really hard, but it's really fulfilling and really awesome. So I got past the first boss, so I was in the second world out of, I think, 5. So I didn't get super far, but I really, really love that game. So it was really awesome. And then what honestly might be my game of the year, like this game is currently holding my top spot right now, which is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I'm not even a huge Ratchet & Clank fan. Like, Rift Apart is the only game I've beaten. I've only played the 2016 Ratchet & Clank, and I never even beat it. I just, like, it was fun, but it just didn't really, like, sink its hook. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't really sink my teeth into it. I don't know. I don't know. But Rift Apart just blew me away from start to finish. It was a great showcase for the PS5. Looked amazing. Played fantastically. Really used the DualSense to the, to the best of their capabilities. And its story was phenomenal. I literally cried. Like, the story made me, like, it brought me to tears. Yeah, just an absolutely phenomenal game. And I think it kind of, like, there wasn't even a lot surrounding it. Just for some reason, I feel like it didn't do super well. I don't know. I just feel like it, like, once the conversation started to die down on Rift Apart, it just pretty much completely went away. And I feel like it's going to be forgotten a lot when it comes to Game of the Year discussions, but I will not forget because it was a fantastic game. So, yeah, definitely play it. Like, it is a must play if you have a PS5. It's just really, really, really good. And so, yeah, that phenomenal game. Just stellar from PlayStation. And then after that, I also forgot to mention that, again, like Tony Hawk and Hades both came out as well on PlayStation. Those are really, really solid experiences from last gen being brought over to the next gen. So, that's also really great. And then we also got, some more of that, but from first party with Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut and Death Stranding Director's Cut. I haven't played either of those yet, but I want to somewhere down the line. But they were both received really well. And so, with that, I mean, the last big, like, high-profile PlayStation release was back in June. And ever since then, it's been 6 months, and we haven't gotten anything. Again, we've gotten some re-releases of games with new content. So, while that's good, again, in the same realm of how Xbox did at launch, they've like flip-flopped now at this point. They're now re-releasing stuff just like Xbox was at launch when they had a really, really solid launch. And so, again, overall, I think it was a great first year for PlayStation 5. Had a really, really strong launch. And there's still plenty of stuff I need to catch up on. So it's not like I'm starving for games right now. But, there's no big fall game. Like, the next PlayStation game is Forbidden West in February, which I'm super excited for. It's one of my most anticipated games, but it's a while away. So, kind of lacking a little right now, but they had such a great start. It's not too much to worry about. I'm not worried about PlayStation. I don't think that they're gonna, completely fail. But, we are in a lull, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with COVID. So I'm not too upset about it. But going in then to who's up? What's the console war, right? I'm gonna take a drink here before I get into it, but ultimately, and I've hated when people give this answer, so I know some people aren't gonna be happy with it, but I honest to God believe it's a tie. I honestly think that it is neck and neck right now. And I don't mean that because of what I've said about how, like Xbox started off and then ended strong, and, PlayStation did the opposite, because they were both to varying degrees, right? I think both consoles are very, very wonderfully made. Not necessarily perfect, but pretty close to it. The SSDs are both fantastic, help with the loading times. Xbox has quick resume. PlayStation just has a fantastic library, but Xbox is even really doing well on that, and coming out with Forza and Microsoft Flight Simulator, and having great third-party support with games like Hades, whereas on the other hand, PlayStation having Demon's Souls, and then also plenty of third-party support through Hades, Tony Hawk, that sort of stuff. Both doing really, really well, right? I don't think either of them has really dropped the ball in the first year. Hasn't been perfect, but both really, really great starts to the generation, and I think it's only going up from here. So I honestly think year 2 is going to be amazing for the both of them. And so I, for one, am really looking forward to what's coming up next, but I think both of them have had great starts to the console generation, and I wish them the best of luck going into year 2. But overall, I honestly think it's a tie. I really do. I don't think either console is doing better than the other. If I had to pick one, I'd pick them both. Like, I'm not making that decision right now. Year 2, we'll talk. Like, a year from now, we will talk again. But as of right now, I honest to God don't have anything to say to sway either. I think they're both fantastic consoles. I think it is a win for both. And that's not just me trying to cop out. I genuinely think that. So, with that, let's move on to the gaming news this week. I've talked enough about these stupid consoles. So, first off, we got some canceled Batman game concept art, which really tickles me. I love superhero games. So this was apparently a canceled Damian Wayne Batman game at WB Games Montreal, aka the people currently working on Gotham Knights and had come out with Arkham Knights Origins previously. And so you can find these things. I mean, you can look up the pictures, but it had an older Batman with a beard, and also Damian Wayne with a red Batman logo, which it almost looks like a upgraded like Arkham Knight suit almost. So there was rumors about them working on an Arkham Knight sequel. I feel like this was that. It also feels inspired by Batman Beyond. And yes, I am saying that because of the red symbol. Like, it might be a little far-fetched, but I think it's genuinely accurate. Like, I feel like they were inspired by Batman Beyond. So you got the older Batman training his protege. I think it would work great. Going with the Damian Wayne storyline. Yeah, just mix that with Batman Beyond, and that would have been awesome. Like, I'm actually kind of sad. Who knows why it was canceled, but yeah, that sounds like something I would totally love to see. And that was, but we got some concept art, and it looks cool. So, fun little thing there. I like to talk about it. Next up, Back 4 Blood revealed a content roadmap for the future. So in December, a lot of people were complaining because currently in the game, if you play solo, you don't get campaign progression. So you don't earn stuff to get new like cards and different things like that, which frankly is stupid to me. Like, I don't understand. I mean, it is stupid. So in December, they are finally adding solo offline play with campaign progression. So they're remedying that. So thankfully, because yeah, if you don't play online or with like other people, then you don't progress in the game really. So yeah, it's kind of sucks, but they're adding that in December, and then getting into the new year, they're going to have a new difficulty option, they're going to have a new co-op mode, and just adding plenty of other content, new cards, new weapons, I think, different stuff like that, all coming next year. But it's good to hear that Back 4 Blood is going to continue to be supported. I'm excited because I really like the game. Like I said, I haven't played too much of it still. I've just been so busy. But I definitely want to because I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I love Left 4 Dead. So, always good to hear that this isn't just a one-and-done type of deal. And then, this past week, N7 Day happened, so we got a new poster for the next Mass Effect, which looks, well, pretty much exactly like a Geth. So for those that haven't seen it, it basically is a picture of like a ship landed near a crater at some unknown planet, and the crater, like the wreckage, whatever it is, it's basically shaped in the form of the head of a Geth. And also some people that like zoomed in, they basically like there's like a seemingly dead Geth laying right by the crater, and then you have, I think, 3 people walking up to it. It's kind of hard to make out what they are, but someone has theorized that this could possibly be the planet where, and spoilers for Mass Effect 3 if you are concerned about that, but people are thinking that this is that person is Legion, and it's his dead body from the planet where he was killed in Mass Effect 3. Which honestly I kind of believe, because when you think about last year when we got the trailer for the next Mass Effect, it was Liara going seeing the N7, people theorizing, it kind of looked like Liara was hunting for Shepard, right? Or, going to where Shepard's remains were or whatever. Then we see this poster that kind of looks like they're going towards Legion's remains. It looks to me like these teases are people searching, and I feel like Liara is also included in this. She could be one of those people in the poster. I feel like it is someone searching for the past, like someone going and looking up the past, looking up basically events from Mass Effect 3 for some reason. I feel like it's a thing. It might be far-fetched. We might be reading too much into it, but yeah. Anyway, we got a little sneak peek again at Mass Effect. It's still going to be a while. We still have no news. I'm theorizing / hoping that we get Dragon Age news at the Game Awards. To be honest, I really don't care that much about Dragon Age. I just want it to be released so that they can get to Mass Effect. And so, I'm sure it'll be good. I actually really like fantasy stuff, but for some reason I just haven't been able to get into Dragon Age at all. And so, I need them to get this out so that they can work on Mass Effect, because I love Mass Effect so much. But yeah. Then next up, Final Fantasy XIV, the Endwalker expansion has been delayed by 2 weeks. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's releasing now on December 7th. They said, I'm trying to remember the reasons. There are several reasons for the postponement, but as I'm the one overseeing all aspects of the title as the head of the project, the responsibility falls solely on me. The producer and director, Naoki Yoshida, said, allow me to convey my sincerest apologies to our players, our warriors of light around the world who have been looking so forward to the release of Endwalker. I am truly sorry. Quote, the biggest factor behind the release date change was my own selfishness as a game director. Man, he's really upset. However, as we neared the end of development and I played through everything from quest to battle content and the like, I just couldn't contain my desire to further improve Endwalker's quality, specifically because this expansion pack marks the first major culmination of events in Final Fantasy XIV so far. Even as we look beyond Endwalker, the Final Fantasy XIV story will continue for a long time, and we hope to deliver many more enjoyable experiences in the game. However, it was precisely because Endwalker concludes this first major saga that I felt our team needed to push ourselves to the limits that I envisioned. As a result, we remain firmly resolved to adjust down to the smallest nuances and ensure our writing covers even the finest points of the vast and intricate story that has spanned these past 11 years since the original Final Fantasy XIV, to ensure that everyone can fully enjoy their adventure in Endwalker. Unfortunately, the consequence of this was that we ended up in a situation where we cut into the time required for final quality assurance checks due to this time spent on additional improvements. There was a bigger risk of us reaching the release date without ensuring stability as one form of quality. Yeah, so seems legit. I'm actually going to be jumping into Final Fantasy XIV when Endwalker launches. I've played a little bit of it before in the past, but very, very little. And so I've decided that this is the time. I'm going to attempt to no-life it. It comes out the day before Halo Infinite, so it's very poor timing. But I'm going to try and play it. Because I love Final Fantasy, and I just keep hearing everybody falling in love with freaking Final Fantasy XIV. So I'm going to do it. And I'm using Endwalker as an excuse, as a jumping on point. I'm not jumping straight into Endwalker, but I'm going to play through it. It's going to be awesome. Then finally, we finally got a release date for Spider-Man for Avengers. Even though the game kind of sucks, I'm still getting excited about new stuff. So remember, this is PlayStation exclusive, but it is coming out on November 30th. It has a special little story mode. In there, Peter Parker discovers that AIM plans to acquire tech that would make their robot army invincible, prompting Spidey to join forces with Ms. Marvel and Black Widow, who remain unaware of his identity. One of Spider-Man's big conflicts throughout his journey will be whether to stay a solo superhero or to lend his strength to the Avengers initiative. I imagine he will say yes. Because, well, it would be super crappy of them if they just made him a limited time hero, because that would make sense since he is exclusive to PlayStation. But I can't, they should know better than to do that. I can't say for sure, but I would think they would know better. But I'm going to take a quick drink before we get into the games coming this week. So, a metric ton of games are coming specifically today. So, first off, we've got Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic for Nintendo Switch. 4,000 years before the Galactic Empire, hundreds of Jedi Knights have fallen in battle against the ruthless Sith, and you are the last hope of the Jedi Order. Can you master the awesome power of the Force and save the Republic, or will you fall to the lure of the dark side? So, yeah. In case you didn't know what the game was about, I'm very much trying not to buy this game because I have already bought 2 other games that have released today. But yes, it's on Switch now. It's super awesome. You should definitely do it because it's super freaking cool. But also out today, PUBG New State for iOS and Android. In PUBG New State, 100 players will fight with various weapons and strategies until only one party remains. Utilize gear, vehicles, and consumables to survive the shrinking battleground to become the last man standing. So, this is kind of sort of a sequel to PUBG. It's more so a sequel to PUBG Mobile. I think it's because, I think PUBG Mobile exploded in a way that the developers didn't really think it would. And so I think New State is basically their way of making the game better and more accessible for mobile users. And so it's kind of a relaunch / sequel. So no, we're not getting PUBG 2 on PC and consoles anytime soon. This is more so just to make the mobile experience better. And so yeah, it's a new PUBG game technically. But also today, Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition for PS5, Xbox Series S and X, PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. 3 iconic cities, 3 epic stories. Play the genre-defining classics of the original Grand Theft Auto trilogy, Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, updated for a new generation, now with across-the-board enhancements including brilliant new lighting and environmental upgrades, high-resolution textures, increased draw distances, Grand Theft Auto 5 style controls and targeting, and much more, bringing these beloved worlds to life with all new levels of detail. So, I bought this game. I was super excited about it. I played about an hour of GTA 3, and definitely feels like a 2001 game, but it's been spruced up. I had fun. I had fun with it, and I'm excited to play more. But yeah, I really, really liked it. Also out today, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Anniversary Edition for PS5, Xbox Series S and X, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. The anniversary upgrades includes pre-existing and new Creation Club content like quests, dungeons, bosses, weapons, spells, and more. With creations, there is a lot more to discover. Yeah, it's more Skyrim. Do I hate myself for buying it? Yes. Am I still going to enjoy it and play the hell out of Skyrim like I always do? Absolutely. I can't even tell you how many times I've played Skyrim at this point, but I love it. Happy 10th anniversary. Plays great on PS5, looks great on PS5. I'm excited to dig into the Creation Club stuff. It's out today. Do I recommend you get it? Probably not. But should you? Probably. It's freaking Skyrim. It's freaking Skyrim, guys. Come on. So, yeah. Hell yeah. And then out tomorrow is Shimagami Tensei 5 for Nintendo Switch. When a grisly murder scene in modern-day Tokyo blocks our protagonist's walk home, an unplanned detour leaves him buried and unconscious. He awakens in a new Tokyo, a wasteland ravaged by apocalypse now called Dot. That? But before bloodthirsty demons can claim his life, a savior emerges, and they unite to become a mighty being neither human nor demon, a Nahobino. With newfound power, the protagonist ventures through Dot, an enigmatic realm filled with mythical deities and demonic tyrants and constant conflict for survival. Searching for answers, the protagonist must force his own path in a battle between light and dark to dictate the fate of the world. And just throwing it out there that this is the series in which Persona became a series. It's kind of hard for me to figure out the relation based off of that, but it's reviewed really well. If you really like JRPGs, this one's for you. It's probably one that I'd like to check out. I don't know if I'm going to right now. It's just a whole lot of other games I'm playing. But yeah, it's finally out tomorrow after it was literally in development for like freaking ever. But yeah. So go ahead and give that a try if that's up your alley. And then finally on Tuesday, Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 is coming out on PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and PC. In this story-driven detective thriller, a young Sherlock Holmes struggles to prove himself as he navigates an exotic, dangerous island in the Mediterranean to investigate the mystery of his mother's death. So, this is the game that I talked about that's kind of an Xbox Series S and X, like, exclusive, like, not on Xbox One, but it actually is coming to those platforms later in the year, supposedly. But the game looks actually really good. Frogwares, I mean this respectfully, but, you know, their games have always been kind of, like, mediocre, but also they're like the best detective games we have. Like, we really don't get many good detective games. And so, I honest to God hope this game is really good. I am wishing the best for Frogwares. Because I want to see them come out with a game that really just blows us all away. Because they work so hard, and they've made so many games that are, like, so close. They're, like, right at the cusp of being great. But they're just not quite there. And so, I'm really hoping this is the one. It looks really good aesthetically speaking. Just seems like it has really high production quality. I hope it's good. But yeah, it's coming out on Tuesday. But those are all the games coming out this week. Before we get out of here, we'll talk about off hours, what I've been doing, what I've been playing. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of Forza Horizon 5. I've been playing a lot of different games. I played Vanguard a little bit. About halfway through the campaign of that. So I haven't played a ton. I've also been digging into Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm almost done with it. I would like to be wrapped up within the next day or two, but it's really good. That is also on my Game of the Year list. Like, that one I know I'm going to be an outlier on, but the game is really, 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 really good. So I cannot recommend it enough, especially if you're a superhero fan. It's a must play. If you are a fan of superhero games, you 100% need to play Guardians of the Galaxy. It is a phenomenal game. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. I'm nearing the end. Hoping to wrap it up here soon. And then I've just been watching a lot of Seth Rogen stuff because I love Seth Rogen. And a lot of his older stuff I hadn't seen before. So I watched Knocked Up for the first time, and that was a great movie. I really love that movie. And then I binged Freaks and Geeks, all 18 episodes within 24 hours. And they're 45-minute episodes. I love Freaks and Geeks. Like, it is my favorite show of all time. And I just watched it. That is how much I love Freaks and Geeks. It is, like, I hate myself for taking 22 years to watch this show. So, I heavily recommend both of them. But if you're going to watch anything, watch Freaks and Geeks. Because it is so, so good. And then, as far as comics-wise, I've been reading Sabrina the Teenage Witch Something Wicked. Which is not something I would think I would be reading, but it's really good. There hasn't been any announcement for a third because it is technically the second volume of the newest Sabrina the Teenage Witch comics. I read the first one last year, and then it was meant to be a miniseries, but it was so good that they made a second one, and they've ended both of them on freaking cliffhangers, which pisses me off, honestly, because it's one of those things where, like, basically they're contracted to write a miniseries, right? So they write a miniseries, but then they end it on a cliffhanger. So it basically pressures the company to renew it, and it worked for something Wicked. But now, it's been about a year now. Well, it's been a year now, and there's still no word of a third volume. So I think they pushed their luck too much. Which I thought Something Wicked was really good. Like, I recommend it. It's just, yeah, I hate, like, just give us an ending, because I don't think we're gonna get one now, and that makes me very sad, because it was really good. But also, it's kind of on them, because it's not like they were contracted, like, write as much as you want. They're like, okay, write this much, and then they did, and then they just freaking didn't end it, which pisses me off. But otherwise, very good. So with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Right at an hour. Look at me. But thank you guys for watching, listening, however you are doing this. Sorry about my voice. Tried to get through it best I could. Hopefully next week, which I'm trying to be back now and trying to be a lot more focused. That sort of stuff. Maybe next couple weeks are going to be a little chaotic for me, but I would like to get into a system where I can really start focusing more on my content creation. And so, especially getting into the Game of the Year stuff. But I appreciate all of you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Probably get into Vanguard more, different things like that. It'll be about video games, that's for sure. So thank you guys. Remember, if you're on YouTube, if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.